Hey, my friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Staying Strong for Marriages. So, I've been thinking of doing this for a long time. On this channel, we are praying that the Lord will restore thousands, even up to 100,000 marriages per year. In the meantime, what are we going to do? I've been doing a lot of content recently about finances and getting ready for difficult things, running, exercising. Today, I'm going to be looking at what about electromagnetic radiation that's coming from many of our devices, 5G, computers, Wi-Fi, and specifically in this video, I'm going to be looking at smart meters. You may say, what's a smart meter? Smart meters have been adopted in many major cities as a way to kind of make the grid, utilities grid, more efficient for the companies to be able to manage it so that they don't have to send out people to actually look at your dial that has the little spinning wheels and read it manually. They can basically, it's pretty cool actually the way it works. The problem is that it puts off a lot more radiation than we're used to because they kind of work from like my house to your house to the neighbor's house, and it works in a big chain. So they kind of like talk to each other in like bits instead of shooting all the information back to the headquarters. It's kind of more like a chain or a network. Anyways, a lot of people said, well, that's a big problem. So we're going to be looking at that today. You can see on the screen here, we have a device, and I'm going to take a couple readings for you just so that you get an idea of what's going on. And then we're going to be looking at a little bit of how effective is some of these products that you might find on Amazon, like this sheeting that you can put to kind of shield yourself from some of the radiation. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit and let you see this in live time. But on the top, you're going to see 0.565. And the units are important. This top number, the big number, is the current reading that we're getting. So 0.565. This is microwatts per centimeter squared. What? Microwatts per centimeter squared. Don't worry about that. But think of it more than this. This is a centimeter squared, right? Versus they sometimes take the meters, the readings in like 3 feet, right? This is a meter squared, right? So this is one thing to know about. Then on this particular meter, you can see on the bottom, and it says peak. You can see it there, the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, peak. And you'll notice it was a much larger number, 479.3 microwatts per centimeter squared. You may think, is that a lot? Is that dangerous? What does that mean? Yeah, what the heck does that mean? Well, it depends on who you ask. The international community does not think of this all in the same way. There's two big problems with electromagnetic radiation. One, okay, radio waves, think of that, and your microwave. One way that they measure it is how much thermal heating is occurring with this. If, I'm exposed to it, is it going to heat up my body? Is it going to heat up the other elements around us? Is that type of thing happening? And some people say that is the best way to measure it. But other people would say no. There's another way to measure it that's actually more important. And we're more actually interested in, does it ionize cells? Ionize cells. Remember back to your chemistry days? Ionization, right? This is when one of the electrons jumps off and bonds to something else. Now, I don't have a great background in that, so I'm not going to try to go beyond that. But what it basically means is that it's going to take your cells in your body, literally in your body, from having like the positive, neutral, or negative. It's going to change the polarity. It's going to, I don't know, polarity is right. It's going to change the charge. Ionize it, right? So this is like, you probably don't want this happening, and this is the second way that the international community has come to talk about it. So what about my 479 microwatts per centimeter? Is that a big number or not? Well, let's go check it out real quick, and then we'll go take some readings. Jumping over to this document from the Physicians for Safe Technology, we find out that the acceptable range when it comes to microwatts per centimeter square is between 100 and 1,000. Well, that's kind of a big range. And remember, my number was like 479. If we go a little bit further, it depends upon the different frequencies. So from 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz in microwatts per centimeter squared, 200 to 1,000 is acceptable. Now remember, we're talking about getting into 5G, right? So that would be 5 gigahertz. So that would be in this range. But notice some of the differences. In the United States, it's 200 to 1,000. If you go up to Canada, you can go all the way up to 1,000, no problem. But look at these other European countries or non-Western countries. Only 10 in China, Russia, Italy, France, Poland, and Hungary. They only allow 10? And in the States, I can have 200 up to 1,000? Well, that doesn't seem to make any sense, even though they do say depending on frequency. That still seems like not even in the same ballpark. 10 versus like 500, this is not the same. What about Switzerland in general? You can have 9.5 microwatts per centimeter squared. This is all the same units that I gave you in the beginning. Belgium, you can have 2.4. Bulgaria, 2.4. Luxembourg, 2.4. Ukraine, 2.4. 2.4, 9, 10, and then once you get over to the good old US of A, it's 200 to 1,000. So why are our standards so lax? I don't really know, but I will leave you some information that you can do some more digging. Okay, so I was thinking if I was one of you at home watching this video, I might question a little bit, is this guy really where he says he is? Are there really 7 smart meters? Or on the other side of this curtain that he says there was? Well, I'm gonna count it out for you, so let's go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go through the gates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Turn. There they are, all 7 of them. And these are all the updated smart meters, they're called. And so I came out and I wanted to come right next to this and take a reading. So I'm gonna reset. So you can see it's 22.62. That was the new high. 30. So we're 3 times above those European standards of 10, and we've been standing here for a whole 30 seconds, 23. So some of the claims and the controversies that the utility companies will basically not tell us how often these things are emitting radio frequencies as they talk to each other. They would like to say in some of their official material that it's only like once a day, but a lot of consumer safety groups said, no, it's not like that. It's like thousands of times a day that it fires off these small readings. 23.15. So the question kind of becomes, how often are these huge amounts of electromagnetic radiation being given off? .58. 25.99. 1.68, 2.7, 21.11. Again, these are microwatts per centimeter squared. .18, 21.60. So you have to realize that I'm going to go inside and take some of the readings on the other side of this wall. Of course, there's some rock you can see. But basically on the other side of this wall, we bought some product that sold on Amazon. It's this either a copper or it's a blend mix of metals that people use to basically block these signals out. And they use those when they factory set these devices so that you want to set it like in a zero radiation environment. So they do those to kind of create like a black box or like a blackout space. And of course it's used for like other laboratory testing environments as well. 18.10. So we'll just we'll go inside and we'll see if those work, if they seem to be worth your money, since they're going to be like $50, maybe a roll. So you could spend I don't know, $75 fairly easily if you want to cover some space in your apartment or whatever. Especially if you have kids that are, developing. A lot of people say, I don't want, my wife like surfing Facebook while she's breastfeeding, or we just don't want our kids to be around all these devices. Now, if you live in a home, then you only have like one of these meters, right? And you only really have like one internet router, like modem router combo that's running for your house. But if you're an apartment dweller, you have these things like layered on top of each other, right? You can open up your computer and that your computer can pick up like, all of your neighbors' Wi-Fi networks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 networks, maybe more. Well, the same is true with the electric meters from your company that's running the smart meters for the electricity. They're also doing these for natural gas. So I'll go over real quick on the other side of the building and show you the natural gas meters. 2.53. Okay, so let's peel off and go to the other side of it. Okay, so now I'm inside. I've come directly on the inside wall of those 7 smart meters that hang outside. So just outside of this wall are the 7 smart meters. And you can see I've installed some of that quote-unquote protective sheeting. It's a blend of copper, nickel, and some other metals. Aluminum, I think, is a decent blocker. But anyways, bought it off Amazon. I think it was $25 for like 40 or 50 feet or something, and so had to get multiple. And so put that in here and try to see if it makes a difference. Let's see if it does make a difference. Okay, so this device is actually super easy to use. You just press the down button and it'll reset. So you can see the old peak was 30, and then it just resets. So, you know, this isn't going to be like the greatest video to stand here for a long time, but I think this meter was $120, and then the sheeting was, like I said, maybe $75 total that I spent. And so this sheeting maybe here is like half of that, so maybe $40 for this. It's about maybe, I don't know, from here to here, I'll call that like 8 feet. That's not 8 feet, 6 feet, and another 6 feet here. So this is 12 feet horizontally, and then these are, I think, 9-foot ceilings. So it's cost you about $50 to cover that type of area. Now, like I said, I was standing right on top of those meters before, and so I'll stand right here as close as I possibly can to the wall. 0.25. I'll try to hold it steady. 0.42. It's still the microwatts per centimeter squared. You can see that, the big number in the upper left. And we're really asking, you know, we're looking down here at this peak number. The peak number next to my thumb is microwatts per centimeter squared. That's the same thing. Because most of the reports I found gave the warning ranges to us in this units, meaning in microwatts per centimeter squared. That's what I set this to, so that I can compare apples to apples, and I didn't have to do a bunch of strange calculations. So the dot here is telling us, you know, this is a high range, and you can turn the audio on and it would blink. So 21.6, we saw that outside, so that's not good because this section is only 2 minutes long. 10.47. So we're up to around 30 outside during a short clip that I made during, you know, the middle of the afternoon. Does it run higher at night? Does it run higher, you know, midday, late afternoon? Some people said, oh, maybe it runs more in the summers when you have all that big pull running those air conditioning units. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to stand out there all year and take measurements, but for maybe 3 or 4 minutes of video in here and out there, it'd be worth it. So this is low numbers, 0.234. This is fine. This is good. So far the peak is 20.6. The other weird thing is if you go online or you go and watch YouTube videos, you'll find a bunch of people who test a bunch of these. And for like example, one video said that this particular device is absolute garbage. But then you can find other videos on this device that say, it's actually very accurate. How can you have those two disagreements? So one would measure, there's a couple things you want to measure when you come to think about how good is this device. And truth be told, all the devices have strengths and weaknesses. So are you going to, you know, spend $500, $600? You're going to buy multiple devices. This is one of the cheaper ones at $120. After that, it goes up to like $200, then $400, then you can get up to the $500 range. It's like, man, I mean, for me, it's like I felt like I can't spend that much money. You know, $500 for a meter, and then just also maybe another $100 for the sheeting. So that's why I thought there was great value in this video and putting this out for you guys, since you don't have to have the device. You can just see by watching this video. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, some content creators would say, oh, this device you see on the screen is not really very good. And others would say, yeah, it is really great. So The first people that said it's not very good would be talking about what is the range, right? What is the range of frequencies that it's able to detect? So we talked about that before, the gigahertz, the range of gigahertz or megahertz. You know, can it get the really high ones? Can it get the really low ones? Does it get the middle ones? Yeah, it probably gets the middle ones. What about the really high and the really low? Maybe not. This is specified on their product like write-up, so I'll leave that for you in the description of this video. You'll be able to just link and look through what the manufacturer claims is the capabilities of this particular device, the GQ EMF 390. So it does have really high ratings on Amazon, but again, a lot of people say those are fake ratings. The same claim was made against in the comment section against the YouTubers who said this current device that you see, the GQ EMF 390, they were saying is garbage, and commenters would come on and say, that's because you guys are paid by some other company to make this video, right? So maybe the people making the video were paid by the competitors of GQ, say company ABC, hired the YouTube video folks to say, make our product look really good, make these guys say these, that this GQ one is garbage, and that'll be good for us. So here you've been watching it the whole time while I've been blabbing on, just because it's kind of boring watching this thing, but 0.234, and we're going on to 6 minutes. I'll go one more minute, but it is pretty boring. Okay, so I'm gonna just read some of the readings that I got here in this apartment, and I'll let you continue to watch the real-time readout. We're still at the same 21.6 microwatts per centimeter square that we're at right before this edit. So these are our 24-hour readings. Okay, so I'm going to read you a lot of the peak readings that I got just by taking measurements different places, either by the exterior wall that has the smart meters from the utility company, or like next to the Wi-Fi, or next to the device that brings in the signal for the phone line. And so these are over multiple hours, maybe like 12, think of it like 12 to 24 hour. And these would be peak readings in the same units we've been using and that we're measuring here, the microwatts per centimeter squared. So over a, say, 24-hour period, the peak was, on one day it was 4, another day 3.4, 3.1, 3.17, 3.29. So those are all under like the basic European standards that we're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to read you these readings that I took from the apartment. Okay, like I told you before, we had 2.96, 2.17, no problem. There was a 20.11. This was an overnight measurement. 30.32. There was a 479. Bunch of 4s, a bunch of them under 10, like a whole bunch of readings, a whole bunch of nights under 10. But there was a 66.75, 2 of those actually, another 66.75. So you can see that these things kind of tend to fall in these, like, I don't know, pick up on certain frequencies, I should say. There was just tons and tons of ones that were just under 10, under 5 even. But then you definitely had some peaks. 479.3 just came up over and over and over again. So maybe that says, oh, it's an inaccurate reading. Or maybe it just means that it was like in that ballpark and that's what it registers as. 94.77, 82.5. So these are under the, I guess, American standards, but for all the other folks, all the other countries, I mean, it's really blown it out of the water if the limit is 10 or 9.25 or 4.2 something. There's all kinds of readings all over this thing, no matter where it was, whether it was in one corner or the other of the apartment. Maybe that's coming from Wi-Fi, from routers from the other neighbors, or the smart meters were definitely right on the outside wall. So had all kinds of these things, 66.75, 19.85, 12.22, 3,442. So that was like maxed out. And that didn't happen all the time, but it did happen a few times when, I was taking these measurements. So 3,442 is even above the US standards. So take that for what it's worth.